look at influencers, right? And what influencers do is you've got the ones that get the head switched on. They don't just take every brand deal. They take ones that make sense for their audience, and that you've only got so much goodwill that you can play with your audience. And as Jill said, as much as she loves the Skinny Confidential podcast, if you're consistently listening to that and the ads get more and more and more, you're disconnected.
Hi and welcome back to another episode of the Bulletproof Studios podcast. Today we are talking about the 10 ways you can monetize your podcast and how to grow it in 2026. So we are coming to the end of 2025. We've only got 16 days left of when we are recording. So we were talking about how you can grow your podcast in the next year and how you can monetize it, as that is the main question we get here in the studio. First of all, Dale, how are you doing? Do you like the new setup that we've got here?
It's a bit squashed. We decided to go for the chair setup. Sofa.
So if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you'll be able to see.
It's actually quite nice because Coops can sit next to us, but we're recording super early this morning and I could easily just cuddle up with him and go to sleep. That's where I'm at.
But also, if anyone's watching on YouTube,
we have
like the background.
We have a mural of Cooper behind us. The single best gift we've ever received. Thank you, Fraser.
Yeah, Fraser got it. You need to go look at it. If you're only listening in audio, you need to go watch it because it's basically Cooper in a king format, and he is King Cooper of the studio, so it's great. It's
Super
excellent.
Cooper. Oh, that's another one we can do. Superman Cooper, like Super Cooper.
And then we could do for what?
Like one of those.
Oh,
we could just do
those.
Tons of murals of Cooper.
Just of Cooper. And
right,
sometimes when people have come into the studio in the past week, we forget to say something.
I know.
And then they're just like watching
Hello.
King Cooper.
So what's been happening this past week? How's the week of business been last week?
Yes, been quite mixed with what we're doing because we said this in the last podcast, but we launched the memory room officially last week. So we've been doing some work on that, on building that side of the business. So trying to create content for that, getting people in. We said last time we had approached some friends and family who are interested in it to doing ones to use them as testimonials, but also just practice on them as well in the nicest way possible. So we did one at the weekend with my mum, which was called Cooking with Mum, which was really nice. So we cooked a couple of recipes together and spoke about just kind of like things about her growing up, how she started cooking, that kind of stuff. And it was really good because it was stuff that I'd learned about my family that I didn't know before, which is the point of the memory.
I think I thought the cooking angle would all be about like the recipes and the stories behind the recipes, but it ended up becoming like a good way for your mum to tell stories without feeling the pressure of sitting down and recording cameras. So
yeah, because she's never really been in front of a camera to speak about it, and that's what she said at the start. Like when she seen the camera, she was like, "Oh no, I don't think I can do this." And then literally 2 minutes in, she was cooking away and chatting about her family and growing up and stuff like that. So it was really good.
Good. How's baby been?
She's been kicking like crazy.
11 weeks left. Is this
11
your
weeks.
29th? Is this the last week? Are you in your 30s now?
No, Saturday will be in the 30th week.
This is the last week of the 20s then.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she's been kicking like crazy, and I'm finding myself getting a wee bit more uncomfortable, so that's fun. But we move.
Take it in your stride.
We try to, at least. We move.
Take it in your stride.
Running is probably taking a wee bit of a halt.
Yeah, I think you should need if you want to do cardio. Like your walks and that are okay, but I think you need to cut the duration of the walks down and maybe split them out throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
How was that one this morning?
It was fine. It was just a short walk.
So I think more of them though, because that was like 3,000 steps.
Cooper likes a big walk, so.
I know, but I'll take him out when we go runs and stuff like that. Should stop saying the word WLK.
He's sleeping away. He's not even.
He's now not interested.
Yeah. How did you find business last week?
It was good to finally launch the memory room. So I know it's like a double whammy from last episode, but getting the website live, getting inquiries coming in, and that, so many people, like, people will always tell you this, and there's an interesting thing when you start a new business. Don't listen to your friends and family, because everybody tells you it's a great idea, but they never buy, right? They are never your ideal customers, and it's such a gaslighting way of like thinking that you're onto an amazing idea. I know with the memory room, we're onto something, but
a really good idea.
It took me back to when I was coaching. So, that's great. Like, yeah, you like, you do this and do that, and it's like, yeah, like I've made 5 Instagram posts this week and you've not liked one single one of them. Do you know how much a difference that would make me feel?
And it's free.
I know, and it's free
Not
to do.
make
And
you
it's
feel
never,
like-
no, it's never done out of malice, but it's just funny how like friends and family will always say like, that's a fantastic idea. Even speaking to like when I was training Saturday morning and some of the guys saying to me, it's like, oh, I seen that. That's a great idea. I'm like,
Buy it.
I don't think you followed the page or liked the post, motherfucker.
Well, you're like that. I'm just like, well, if you think it's a great idea, just go buy it.
I know.
Like,
But no,
book
like it's good because we're on to someone reached out to us, Pat, who owns the building, and he the building that we've got in Airdrie, he got one for his 50th that was made for him during lockdown, and it was the same concept of the memory room, but it was maybe done in a wee bit of a different way, where they brought his friends and his family into the studio and recorded snippets and then brought pictures in and done like this whole montage. It was about an hour long.
this is your life type vibes.
Yeah. So it was quite a cool idea. I actually don't think they do that as a company, but that guy was onto something.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was in the peak of
COVID.
COVID, which is quite funny because we watched it and it was like, oh, sorry, we can't celebrate with you, and everyone's doing their video messages on their phone, and I was like,
But it was like they were all saying it's like, oh, we'll be back soon in the next month. I'm like, oh no,
if
you
only we
won't.
knew.
You won't.
2.5, 3 years later. So yeah, last week was good to do that. Marketing wise, we have just wrapped up our last kind of last sign up. I think that's going to happen this side of the year. So it was good to sit down with them. Chiropractors, I would say is one of the biggest in Scotland and is continuing to grow, which is very cool. And his friends reached out actually as well. So that might be the only other thing that happens on the marketing side this side of the year.
Yeah, because we've got 16 days left.
16 days, eh? Wow. We'll get the zero Christmas sorted.
As we were sitting yesterday, we decided to do Secret Santa with my family because we all spend too much money. And I said to Dale, I was like, oh, it's only, how many days? Last night it was like, oh, it's 10 days to Christmas. And he's like, I've not got anything for them to Secret Santa have. I was like, yes, I have ordered it and it's in the room.
Yeah,
like, you don't need to worry about that.
I've got it. No, but there's an idea of what we get anyway.
Yeah.
I honestly am growing to hate Christmas and I don't like it. And I only dislike it because it becomes about the material thing instead of the experience, and it really pisses me off. I'm actually going to message my mum and dad. I've already said to my mum, I'm going to message my dad and said, if you give me a gift and don't listen to me, because I said on my birthday, I don't want a present. I was like, I want to hang out with you. I want to do something with you. Yeah, no problem. He's like, all right, son, here's some money. And it's like, do you know, I know the intentions there is good, but that annoyed me.
You giving me money annoyed me.
Ungrateful wee shit. But I do. I want to do something
experience.
that's an experience instead. So hopefully we can do that. But
I think we'll, like, next Christmas will be different as well because we'll have our kid, and I feel like especially like next Christmas people will be asking, oh, what can we get your child, your daughter for
nothing.
their Christmas?
If you truly want to buy something for my daughter in the future, you can buy stocks and bonds in £10, £50, whatever it is. You can buy it today because in 20 years' time that'll appreciate to at least a couple of £100, maybe even a couple of thousand.
She won't remember it.
No,
like,
I know.
She won't,
It's
and
like,
she's going to have so much stuff already.
what's the first toy you remember when you were younger? Like the very first toy you can remember?
Probably my Barbie till.
What age were you?
Well, that's like, it was a till, so like I had to work it. So I think I was maybe like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So like you don't really. What do you remember before 5?
Not a lot.
I think about it.
So we just do nothing with her.
What's your earliest memory?
I don't know.
I remember putting my dad's keys down the castle, this wee castle thing that we had. I remember doing that. I remember Christmas running through the door. But any earlier than that, I think that's my earliest childhood memory.
So we're just not going to do anything with her. Just 5 sitting in a room. At some point you won't remember it anyway.
Santa's not real.
Stop it. I don't mean Christmas, I just mean anything if you're going to have that
I'm only
attitude.
kidding.
No holidays, no nothing. You won't
No, but
remember
there's a
it.
developmental part of the brain as well, and it's very important to explore that. But anyway, yeah, last week was good business-wise. We're coming up to the end of the year.
I think what's good with the memory room is that we've said this before, but it's like we're getting to actually use the marketing advice we give our clients on our own business. So it's given us time to like trial and error stuff that it doesn't actually, it's not that it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, but there's not as much pressure, I guess,
Yeah.
because it's our own business. Obviously, we want it to go right, but like it gives us the opportunity to try different stuff, different funnels, marketing content. So
Yep.
I think that's good to do.
Kind of grow it from scratch. So, I think the stages with that is the next stage is people don't know what we do, so it's getting the message out there and reiterating that so that we can do that. So it's how do we get more people to find out what we do? We've got our cold outreach method. So anyone that follows the page, we're going to reach out to them and just say, like, thanks for following the page. There's probably a reason they've followed the page, and we just want to get a feel for what's the type of reasons that people would want to record the memory room, because then that gives us marketing material and content material that we can then create for Instagram and then reach a wider audience. And it's not getting everyone to buy, like it's just getting like a nice ecosystem of new fresh ideas that come into the mix. Are we going to do paid ads?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, because I think there's only so much as we say how important organic content is, and it is. I think we still need to do ads if we want to get a wee bit more traction to begin with.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see the organic reach with this, because it's a very, when you look at, like, for example, marketing, we run a marketing post or marketing content for our social media. It's only getting to a percentage of an audience. Not everyone has businesses that need marketing for. Not everyone that has businesses will use marketing agencies. So, like, the niche or the market of people who are our ideal customer is very narrow. I would make an argument the market that we have for the memory room is
Everyone.
It is almost everyone that's got a family.
If you don't do it, you're selfish.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who it's not for.
People who don't care.
But it's your own story as well.
People who don't care about their own story. Like, people have said to us, like some of the content we've been putting out there, like, oh, you need to stop it because you keep making me cry. And I'm like, good, so that's the aim. Like, when we were doing our marketing plan, we were like, we just want to make people cry.
Yeah, that's it. That's how you know you're, like, pulling the heartstrings,
Yeah.
pulling emotional pain. So yeah, and then it was also good getting Kat and Tina in on Sunday as well. So I've not looked at that yet. Just pulled all the.
They done
the
like a
files
mother-daughter session. And again, like, Kat was like, oh, I learned stuff I didn't
off.
realise, which is good.
The family gossip.
Yeah.
Exciting. Right, anyway, into today's conversation then. Podcasting. So podcasting is becoming a more popular thing that everyone's doing. And one of the most common questions we get asked when people hire out the studio and we sit down and have a consultation, it's like there's almost like a blind arrogance to how they're going to get money from this. So we want to do an episode breaking down all the ways that you can monetize a podcast. And if you're thinking of a podcast in 2026, some things to consider. And it'll just help with your overall strategy and your approach. So,
because I think it is probably the number one question we get when people come in the studio for a consultation. They'll ask, like, how it works and that kind of stuff. But I think the thing they're wanting is, like, okay, how do I see a return on investment if I'm putting this money into it? What am I getting out of it, type thing? Which I think sometimes can be a bit of a difficult conversation sometimes with some people because they expect to see something straight away, which might not always be the case. Or what do you think?
Well, sometimes you don't see pound for pound. I've put in £200 for a studio hire and I've got £200 back in my hand. Sometimes that £200 is a value in a Instagram metric, a view metric, a follower metric,
it's
an
kind of like
audience.
organic content, like in general, like it's quite hard to measure your ROI on it. ROI.
So podcasting, a couple of episodes ago, or one of our first episodes, I made the argument that every business should have a podcast, but not every business should be podcasting. Still agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think still people don't need to consistently be podcasting every week, every month, every however long it's going to be. But I think if you've got those base episodes like your founder story, like your Q&A, like your testimonials, they're always good to go back to link with future customers and clients. Do you still agree with that? Or
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much still on board with it. I think every business should have a founder story, a recording of what it is that they do and how you can work with them, and then a testimonial batch. They're like the core foundational story of every business it can have, because once you've recorded that content and you've got that in let's say a podcast format, you can have it up as a podcast, you can build it in your newsletter, you can build it into your email sequence, welcome sequence, You can use it as an onboarding process. You can do it as a mini lead magnet of bridging the gap between when someone follows you. There's so much that it kind of branches out to. And even if you're at networking events and stuff like that, and you get to connect with someone, and you follow up and say, like, I know you were really interested in marketing, for example. Like, here's, like, we've got a podcast. Here's a wee episode we done on the type of clients that we work with. So if it's something you're interested in, then check it out. If they're getting to that stage, then it's the next buy-in. Those who choose podcasting as their model, seasons or whatever it is that they end up doing, I think one thing that's often overlooked with podcasting, because it was a bit the same for when I started it, this blind arrogance that once upon a time you could do a podcast, post it, and a lot of people would listen to it because it was new and whatever. I think the lockdown era, everyone was starting a podcast for that reason, because people were sitting at home and had all this time, and it was like, oh, that's quite good. I'm gonna listen to X, Y, and Z. But podcasting is a more middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Is that right? Is that the right word? And what I mean by that is it's usually people who kind of know who you are and are looking to find out a wee bit more, or they know what you do. Because you need to think, if you sit down and record for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes, people who don't know you, it's going to be like, yes, they can be a hook, they can be a title, they can be a subject that you talk about, but it's very hard to draw people in on a consistent basis like that.
I think though I don't know if it's maybe until you get a bigger audience, which is we'll go on to that, like how to grow your audience and stuff like that, because all the podcasts we listen to, we don't know them personally. Like I know we know them because we follow them on Instagram or
that's what I mean.
Whatever like that.
That was the top of funnel marketing too. So,
true.
So like top of funnel marketing would be, right, I never knew who Diary of a CEO was, so he started doing his trailer clips, and then I would see them and I would like and then I'd hear someone speak about them because he's captured someone else's attention, and then you hear his name and then you see the trailer again. You start paying him subconsciously. You pay more and more attention, and then before you know it, you're bought into listening to an hour and a half episode because you're like, well, I've got a bit of FOMO here. Everyone's talking about it, so it's content, short form content is the top of funnel for that example, and that's why clips and that can be important. But yeah, I think podcasting is still going to be a very useful strategy. I think there's going to be different ways to monetize, or there's different considerations to make when you're looking to get money back from your podcast. So let's talk about them. So first ones that I think we all probably expect, and it'd be great if it could happen, but it's a more longer play, and it's the influencer play where you get paid from the platforms. Instagram, Spotify,
YouTube,
Apple and YouTube. They are all platforms that once you get enough followers and once you get enough listens, they'll start paying you on the views and the downloads that you get from those episodes. Every platform differs, and YouTube is probably the known platform for it because they've done it since day one. They've sort of been where you would put up a YouTube video and that's where like people can make millions and millions of pounds.
There's new things
YouTube
coming
video.
out with Spotify as well. So like Spotify, I can't remember what it's called now, like podcaster program or something like that, where partner program, I think it is. Might have made that name up. Where they've started doing that as an actual program you go into and you can like start, but you need to have a certain number of listens and views and stuff like that. But it's like trying to make it easier for people to then actually monetize off it. But then they'll start to add in Spotify ads and stuff like that with it. Yeah.
So that's one thing that Spotify does do. Like once we upload this, we can choose if we want to click monetization on, and an ad would run every 15 to 20 minutes, I think it is. And it's just a Spotify ad, and that then what that then does is affect your audience. It affects the listener rate, and what I think we would get like 0.2 pence, or we maybe get 30 pence or 3 pence per 100 views. So 100 people would do that, and it's not worth it at that point. It's not worth it to disengage your audience. Like, despise ads. Like, see when ads are running throughout YouTube videos and stuff like that, it's like, this is pissing me off.
I feel it's worse in American podcasts, but they've always been like that, even like
very advertise heavy, aren't they?
Back like on like years and years ago, if you'd watch like American TV when you're on holiday, like
remember Shark Tank? We were watching that every 5 minutes. There was
so
an ad.
Annoying. But there's that podcast I listen to, the Skinny Confidential, and they do like their own ads in between for like products they're sponsored by, but it's about their ad bit break is about 10 minutes long, and a podcast that's only an hour. I'm
Interesting.
like, that's wild, and I hate it. And I fast forward like all of it, and I'm like, I don't want to buy from you because
You're doing it too much.
yeah. So I think there's just a fine line on.
So monetization from the platform, just sticking with that one just now, having a good social pool, this is probably the right category for those individuals. You're needing a good couple of thousand listens on an average basis to get paid from the platforms, essentially.
Yes, I don't think it's like if you're just starting out a podcast or you're starting out like your journey in content creation and personal brands, whatever it is, this isn't probably the one you'll think of first, or you might think of it first, but it's probably not the one you're going to get first, unless, like Dale said, you've already got a big pool on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, because you see these kind of influencers who do have that pool, and then they start a podcast and their first few episodes go like way up,
Yeah.
unless you've already got that.
My only advice, if you're looking to start some sort of long form content, and you're thinking, okay, I'll just do podcasts and I'll just and then I can monetize it. The best platform that does this is going to be YouTube, and I would say podcasting doesn't necessarily perform well on YouTube to begin with. You can absolutely build up your audience and whatnot, but you're better to create longer form videos specifically for YouTube. So me sitting down and talking to a camera, it's not a visual experience for the audience. Whereas if I sit down, speak to the camera and have overlays and then have B-roll or it cut into another story, some of my best content has been when I've been out training or doing an event on YouTube, and those have got a couple of hundred to, well, even our vlogs and stuff like that
the
we've done.
Madrid vlogs
Like,
and stuff like that do so much better.
That type of content is better to double down on in the new year. Okay, next one is our sponsorships and brand deals.
Yeah, so I think there's
Thoughts?
different ways you can do this. I think, again, when people think sponsorships and brand deals, they probably think like big picture, like, oh, we're going to get, if you're a fitness person, you're going to get Gymshark or MyProtein, but I think sometimes think smaller. So how can you look at partners you maybe already work with?
Just keep on.
Partners, if you look at partners you already work with, or people that you know. So like, for example, if you are, let's stick to the PT part of it, if you're a PT and you work really closely with a local supplement brand, that is maybe someone you look at to sponsor it, and it might not be a full sponsorship at the start. It could be like a partial sponsorship to offset that cost. So at least you might not actually be making money from your podcast, but at least it's offsetting the cost of the studio hire, the editing and stuff like that. But I think there's different ways you can sponsor it.
Yeah, I think, so first things first is make sure the sponsorship makes sense, I would say. I wouldn't just go out and just say to anyone, what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking of ones that we've had in the studio that just
yeah,
don't
like
make sense.
I'm still baffled that like I'll say it because it's like
gonna say
it's
it, but okay.
it's a movie-based podcast, and they'll know who it is. A movie-based podcast that then had a CBD oil for dogs on it, and that was the partnership. And I never really understood it, but they had that much reach that they managed to get some sales to these guys, which just speaks volumes for the whole advertising world. Now, sponsorship, like brands will pay upwards of 50,000, 60,000 pounds a month, £100,000 a month. Like big brands are spending crazy money. So if you're talking about a subject and you're talking about, or your podcast is about a particular industry, within that industry, you can look at the bigger players. And absolutely, like I love the play of being ballsy and reaching out to them, say like, here's my track record, here's what I've done, here's what I'm doing, here's the quality of podcast that I'm producing. Would you like to sponsor? And you can get into conversations with that, and they might front a couple of £1,000 a month, or a couple of hundred, or as Jill said, at the very least cover the basis of the podcasting, and that is a win in your eyes, because it means, yes, you get to you break even on this, but then you have the whole brand association with them as a sponsor. You're producing content that is very favourable because it's long form. And the third thing is, as you grow that audience, and if you grow more, what's the word I'm looking for? You grow more buyers to that sponsor or to that brand deal, then they're more likely to work with you and increase that budget as time goes on. Now, that is the bigger brand play, but I think realistically, when you're starting out, sitting down, looking at your network is probably a good starting point. And what is some of the things that your audience can benefit from those who are in your network?
Yeah, I think it needs to work both ways. Like you're saying, like it needs to be relevant to the sponsor, but also needs to be relevant to the audience as well. So they, like we just said, they don't want to be hearing an ad for something completely random that's not relevant to them, or too many ads and then just skip past and you kind of start to lose your credibility. So I think you need to be relevant to the sponsor, but also that sponsor needs to be relevant to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as well the way you use that sponsorship throughout your podcast, you need to be very clever with. So like we've just said, like we don't like ads in the middle of stuff, in the start or the end, especially the end. I don't know anyone who puts an advert at the end of the podcast. I don't think anyone listens to it, 'cause as soon as it gets to the end advert, you're like, okay, done.
Yeah, but some will.
Mm.
Playing in the car and you're not with your phone, it's like, oh, never thought of that.
Yeah. But I think the best people we've seen who do ads is Mind Pump. We've said that from the start. Like the way they do their adverts and their podcast is just much more organic and natural, because what they do is they're PTs, or they're, what would you call them now? Coaches?
Yeah, they're
Coaches,
podcasters.
mentors.
No,
Yeah, podcasters.
Their main business model is podcasting. They're a great example to look at, and they might not do it in the traditional way, but they call out the sponsorship at the start of the podcast. Today's episode sponsored by XYZ, and then in the natural conversation they talk about the product, and everything that they do kind of ties into the whole health and fitness picture, which is what they're improving on. And then they have some of the other ones that we're going to talk about in a sec. So,
because like one of the examples you'd use for them is like they were sponsored by a company called, is it Butcher Box, which is where their meats, and then like they talk about what they were up to the weekend, and they were like, oh, we had a barbecue, we had this on the grill, we had this.
Yeah, and it's very
it's not forced. It doesn't feel
authentic.
like
They've got, obviously, like what we do, we sit down before the podcast and it's like, right, what's the subject that we're talking about, and we get our talking points. And in their talking points, and imagine it's along the lines of, right, today's episode's going to be a Butcher Box one. Who's like, let's weave that into the conversation, and because their style is, first half of the episode is very general conversation, and then the second half is
like the facts and
Yep.
points. I think another thing to mention on sponsorship probably is for podcasting versus trying to get sponsored on Instagram, for example, your views on a podcast and your engagement, I would say, doesn't need to be as high as what they are on TikTok or Instagram, because if you've got someone who's tuning into your podcast for a good hour and a half, or 45 minutes, even half an hour, like, you know that that person is much more engaged, they're much more invested in what you're saying and trust you a lot more, rather than watching a 60-second reel, because that only takes 60 seconds. So I think if you were going out to sponsors, like, most people know that now, but I guess if it's like smaller sponsors, like you're trying to explain in podcasting, like, it doesn't matter as much. Like, it's not it doesn't matter as much, but your reach doesn't need to be like millions. You're probably looking at like the hundreds to the thousands.
Yeah. And I think with sponsors as well, you want to get to a point where it can be measured. That's the only thing I would advise you guys on. You're not just taking a payment from a friend to cover the basis of, like, find a way where you can track, okay, 5 people from your podcast have clicked on this website. Like, I can see specific views to this. And it's a very easy thing to set up. Like, we use a software, and you could set up a landing page, and then that can be a landing page that only has a link on that specific episode or specific podcast. So we know all the traffic that hits that landing page is from the podcast only, and then we can start measuring some numbers. Another thing with this is sometimes the offer might not be that good from the sponsor side as well. So at least it gives you a bit of play in terms of that conversation that you can have, because if we're getting a couple of thousand people to listen to us across the month, and we can send a couple of 100 people to click on the landing page, but then 0 people buy, it's like, right, maybe there's something we need to do to that landing page, and that can be good feedback. Because at the end of the day, business is business, and we're all on the same mission that we need, like, cash in hand almost. We need to make a sale, and you're helping them make that sale because you already believe in the product. It's not that disjointed. You know it's going to help your audience. So if you speak about it in a passionate and authentic way, then your audience trusts you because they're already choosing to listen to you for up to an hour, a couple of times a week, a couple of times throughout the month. So yeah, sponsorships and brand deals are a great way.
Is there, if you were thinking about getting sponsors for our podcast, for example, who would you target?
For the studio podcast?
Yeah, for like our podcast here.
Mine's wouldn't. I don't know if I would do. Tell you what, the only sponsorships I would go down is actually networking with people. Like as an example, where the guest that we're bringing on is going to be, on one side of things, really good marketers in the space, and then the other side is really good business owners. I would draw a connection up there. Like for example, Chris being on, I think I'd love more people to work with Chris, and if we get big enough where we are seen as a someone in space, then I'd like
Someone in space.
in a marketing agency in the podcasting world, then I'd like to work with Chris and say, look, we can send some traffic your way. Are you up for like something, whether it's commission or kickback or whatever it is. There's so many different ways you can negotiate it. It doesn't just need to be
like money for
money.
money
For money. It can be right. We'll exchange services. We'll give services for free. We'll do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing I would probably look at, but this might look into affiliates, which you might have on your list. But for example, like a software we use a lot is Go High Level. So if we could not get sponsored by Go High Level, but then you've got your referrals. So if we say like if you're a business and you're looking to start up on your like a new website or a new platform, like here's what we use, this is what we'd recommend, click the link below, and then like you get a kickback from it.
Yeah.
Like, but that's more affiliate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was going to say one of the other points, but we'll move on to it, is affiliate codes in affiliate marketing. So affiliates is different. This is, again, you can make crazy money. If you look at all the reviews and the guys who do the best 5 products, the best 5 finds on Amazon, like XYZ, they'll have affiliate links from that, and their videos are getting a couple of like, 10s to 15,000 like views on an average basis, and say 10 people click, they're normally getting 10 to 15% kickback from a product. So affiliate marketing can be a great way, and it's an easy, no barrier entry because you don't necessarily need to do anything. As an example, me and James all spoke about doing this on the podcast, was just putting up because we could get a MyProtein affiliate.
Yeah.
Is we could put that up and then just get a kickback on it. But it was like, I don't know, we just
it was the same when you were doing
mindsets.
your
we just were like, let's just
it was
leave
the same
it.
when you were doing like your programs for your clients. Like you could do, these are the resistance bands I use, so you can do it at home. These are this that I use to affiliate links to Amazon. Like anyone can set up an affiliate link. You don't need to have a partnership or like communication with them, especially with those bigger brands. Like even you see it a lot. Like if I don't know if you see it on guy influencer stuff, but like if I'm following someone on TikTok and they like it's like in a fashion influencer and they say like link and like their shop links in the bio, and then you go to their bio and it's basically all their outfits linked, and if you buy through that link, obviously they get a kickback, but they've not got relationships with every single brand there.
Yeah.
Like it's just you can set it up so easily.
So, and some of these people don't even know these guys exist. There'll be leaderboards in the affiliate world, but
and then that's when if they start climbing those ranks, that's when they probably get in touch with them to be like,
yeah, because you're at that point, if you're getting, let's say you're getting 100 people to buy a product, you can go to that brand and say, look, I know I can guarantee on average that this back and forth, like whatever the number is, I'm normally getting a 10% kickback. I can stay with going to you, or I can go, well, I've been reached out. Like you could make the argument, like another competitor may end up reaching out to you and offer you more. Like play the brands against each other. Like you don't have that relationship with any or loyalty to anyone. Maybe you do. And again, that can be your opening in the discussion to work that out.
yeah. So same with like affiliates for us. Like we'd be looking at, like I said, like software platforms. If you use that, we recommend that. We could do an episode on how to start a podcast from your house, and we could then start doing affiliate links on the equipment.
Yeah.
But like what if you did pick another industry, just like if anyone
What
listening.
podcast? Health and fitness supplements is an easy one to go to. Anything to do with food, anything to do with gym clothing. Let's see who else uses the studio. So the movie podcast guys, like they should be like teaming up with the
Cineworld.
eh.
Oh, and Cineworld.
They could do like some if they wanted to, because it's like local marketing. It's like showcase, like because they were in and they were talking about the experience going to showcase.
Oh, that'd be so good for them.
Like that's what I mean. Like that would be a killer partnership with them. And like I'm sure Showcase are spending money on advertising and posters and all this sort of stuff. But
Showcase.
did I say it?
Yeah, but that's how it says showcase, but it's just the way you say it. Showcase. Showcase.
So yeah. Try to think if there's any other ones like in that. Any other examples?
I think there's loads that you could
Just look at what look at influencers, right? And what influencers do is you've got the ones that get the head switched on. They don't just take every brand deal. They take ones that make sense for their audience, and you've only got so much goodwill that you can play with your audience. And as Jill said, as much as she loves the Skinny Confidential podcast, you're consistently listening to that, and the ads get more and more and more. You're disconnected.
Yeah.
You lose trust in them. So you need to remember this is your audience, it's your community. So really think about it from point is, if I'm talking about an industry, I'm talking about a service or a product, and I know this service can benefit this industry of people that are listening, then let me make it make sense that way. And that'll just make it nice and clear. It will actually get you more people to buy in and probably trust you in the services that you pitch.
I think as well the thing with Skin Confidential, because they're based in America, like their ads, like I've had to buy in, and a lot of it doesn't make sense for me. So I think that's as well, like if you start to see you've got a bit of an international audience.
I was just like with Mind Pump, I was always like, oh, that sounds really good, and I was like, oh, we don't have that over here.
I can't order my meat from America and get it shipped over.
Grass-fed meat. I'm just like, okay, but what it did do, it made me very curious about, okay, what markets are over here. And
do you not remember that time we went? So this is before like it was before COVID, so before a lot of like these butcher box type things came to America, like we do farm to fork just now. So it was before that, and before like a lot of butchers were, I guess, more grass fed. We walked around about 10 butchers going in at the site, like going every one, being like, "If you got grass fed meat," and they're like, "No." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like for ages, and we just couldn't
but
get
then
any.
What I ended up realising was we're in Scotland, so it's a wee bit different.
Yeah,
to,
no, because in America
we have mostly our farmland, or most of our land is farmland.
Yeah.
Whereas it's different over there. Okay, the other one, which seems to be the obvious one, obvious that people don't end up doing, but it's pitching your own products. Like use your own services to market your results, because as we mentioned earlier, this is a middle and bottom of funnel conversion, and as people are tuning into your stuff, this is all free from their part. And what they might do, they're bought into more and more of the messaging. And when you make a call to actions like here, we've been speaking about this over the last couple of weeks, we've got spaces for XYZ, whatever the product or service may be, then yeah, call it out, and you'll be very surprised at like how that can start generate leads for your business.
We used to do it with your coaching. So if you had like a new program you were launching, you'd speak about it not in a sales way, but you'd say like, this is what I'd do, this is how I'd walk through it. If you're opening your small group PT, you talk about it there. And it's the same for us. Like if people are listening to us like a business and think, oh, actually I need somebody to do my marketing, my content. Like I've listened to like 11 hours of these guys. Like I feel like I trust them and I know what they're talking about. That's how we've got some a couple of our latest clients, like they've seen our content on.
Most of them came out.
Yeah, like they've seen our content on Instagram. They've watched a bit of the podcast, and we're like, I really like what you're doing. I want to do that. I want to do something similar. So can I work with you? So that's even though, because that's when going back to like, it's hard to see that direct return on investment, because it's like, would they have came to us if they didn't see our podcast? Probably not. But it's like, can you be 100% certain in that? Like, not really. So it's quite hard sometimes to. If people are being very rigid with their ROI, like it's hard to see that.
Yeah, because again, it goes back to like, right, what are you doing to track? So the affiliation side of things, you can see your numbers. The brand sponsored deals, you can make sure it goes to a page or get results back from the business that you choose to work with. It's the same with this. I would almost like duplicate a separate avenue to whatever it is that your leads are coming through. So for example, we've got our form where people can inquire. And we probably should actually separate that out, actually just speaking out loud, or leave an option like, where have you inquired from?
You can just also add a UTM tag.
How do you do that?
So you just basically add, it's a UTM tag and it's free.
Don't just say random words and then not explain it.
It makes me feel clever.
Doesn't make you look clever.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. So you can use, it's basically like it's a website. You go and say like UTM tag track, and basically you just put a unique code on it, so that you put that unique code in your URL. So if we put a link on this podcast's episode to our contact form, it would have a slightly different URL with like a code 345GH, something like that. And then when we're tracking, we can see, right, they've came through that URL rather than that URL, even though it's went to the same landing page. It's just got a slight tweak on the URL. I think there's a really more technical way to it, but that's like...
That's a good explanation.
Thank you very much.
I didn't know about that. Thank you.
It's so easy to do, like it's free to do as well. It's just, you just need to be a bit clever with your tracking. So a lot of the time through like Google Analytics is where you can track it. But it's really like, I also notice it now, like if I'm clicking on something on Instagram, and it shows you the URL, I'll see UTM and then the code, and I'm like, oh, they're tracking to see where I've came from. So loads of brands and businesses do it. I don't know why we've not. Sorry, I should have implemented this months ago.
This is why this is good. This is good to do. So yeah, make sure it can be tracked, because then you can put data behind it and actually see how much of a pull on your audience that you've got, and vice versa. But yeah, again, the products and services and what you're talking about need to make sense. If you're on a podcast and you're talking about, this is why I'm not a big fan of podcasting just being entertainment, and not just entertainment, just for influencers, because if you're an influencer but you've got a coaching service and then you chuck out your coaching services, sometimes it messes with your audience. They're like, shut up, I'm following you because you're Mr. Funny Man or Mrs.
Like
Funny Man.
sometimes, like, because there's some podcasts,
woman.
there's some podcasts I might listen to because I do want to switch off, like, and I don't want to be advertised to. But then again, if you're clever with your advertising, you don't know you're being advertised to.
Yep.
If you know what I mean. Like, so it's not, you don't feel like you're getting like that push. But there's some podcasts I like to listen to that are just like brain rot almost. Or
Exactly.
like YouTube videos that are just stupid, like the Santigato Studios. But then on that side, so we watch Santigato Studios because their videos are funny and they're stupid, but also it gives us idea for our content for our studio and stuff like that. So on the other side, it is.
But would you ever buy for something that they do?
Yeah, well, I want to buy the games. Like, so they play games on their...
I bet you want to buy the games because you want to play the games like in the studio.
No, but I want to play the games like on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I'd
but
like
then
to play
they're where they've made a very good brand deal, because most of the brand deal, what was it, Boxers, Better Help, and
yeah, it was Skims, which was the Boxers, and I get really irritated. So like they would quickly go into this. So they're advertised by sponsored by Skims, which is like the underwear brand, it's like Kim Kardashian, and they could have done that so funny. They could have had like Joe and Frankie like in their boxers, like making it really funny because that's their characters.
It's being creative.
But instead they've got, what's their producer name again? I forgot his name. Ants. They've got Ants just talking in front of a green screen about it, and he's trying to be funny with it, but I'm like, you could have done so much
just
more
wear
with
it.
that.
Just wear them and talking.
Which I find wild that they've not done.
Maybe it's because of censorship and stuff like that.
No, but it's just boxers. They're
know.
guys, they can show everything. If it was girls, it'd be something different.
Right, anyway, moving on. Right, next one we've got, which is more or less the same, but it's instead of using the podcast as a way to monetize your products and services, use the podcast to get people into your lead magnet. So again, people can listen to your podcast without exchanging their contact information. So finding a way to get their contact information by promoting a free thing within it. We've done this in the last couple of episodes, and it's another trust. It's a trust building exercise. If someone is finding you for the first time, or they've heard about you and they choose to listen to your podcast, it's that next layer of trust where you can get them bought into what it is that you do, and they come down the funnel to becoming closer to your customer, or becoming closer to becoming one of your customers.
Again, with us, like, we give out educational stuff. So for example, last week's episode we spoke all about content buckets. So we gave out a free document on what those content buckets were in full examples, because we know it's quite hard sometimes to listen on the podcast and take that in. So we had a document with that to put that into detail. And then we done one, we said before, like on templates and stuff like that. So there's tons you could do. If you're a PT, you could do a free 30-day workout. If you were, I'm trying to think what other clients you've got. We've got like a business podcast who interview different business people. They could do one on 10 reasons to start your own business, or 10 mistakes I made from starting my own business, something like that.
Or you could combine this with one of the earlier ones, which is affiliate marketing. 5 of my favourite products that I use in X, you could do as a free lead magnet. You can put the affiliate links on it, and if they click on it, it doesn't matter if they buy it or not, but if they show interest and download and go towards that, then you're going to get commission based off the back of that, 5-10%. So yeah,
a lot of these can all link in together.
Absolutely.
And one, can I go back a point, because I was about to say, like, so we're talking about what was the one we just said before?
Products,
yeah. Sorry, baby brain. I'm like, that's gone. Brain. I don't know what it is now. So the other one, I was talking to someone about who looking to start a podcast, and she was like, I just need to find a way to monetize it so I can like make it make sense in my business. But she's got 3 different businesses. So she's got her core business and then 2 other businesses as well. So I was like, if you've not got a sponsor to start with, your sponsor can be your other business. So for example, she works in a salon, but she's also got a creative studio and a clothing brand. So it's like, use your clothing brand as your sponsor, and then any sales you get through, like if you're speaking to other industry people in the salon industry, you're talking about your clothing brands, they're going to then go to it and buy it. And she was like, is that not tax evasion? I'm like, no, it's not tax evasion because
Sponsorship, yeah.
you're
It
sponsoring
makes
it. It's
sense.
like, it's coming from your other marketing budget because you're still speaking about it. Like, so there's ways we could do it. Like, we might get the memory room to sponsor
Well, it
our
was
podcast.
because the memory room can affect everyone's lives.
Yeah.
Gio's podcast, Mount Mindset, he started doing all these property podcasting ones, and he had a property company, and the property company was paying for the bill, but he wasn't out once ever promoting it. And it's like, well, you only need one person to buy in, and then that offsets almost like 6 months worth of studio hire.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, cool, I'll start promoting some of that. So there's so many, like
cross it.
don't be afraid to, like, if you've got other businesses or other partnerships with people, have the conversation. Like,
Or
it's
even yourself.
yeah, like, and even if it becomes a clip that can be put on social media, you normally pay a videographer to do a couple of reels a month for you, like 400-500 quid. Kill two birds with one stone, getting a long form podcast and then getting all these clips off the back of it as well. Right, anything else you want to say in that one? So
No,
lead magnets and funnels. Right, next one I never really thought of, which is a fair point, and it's premium memberships. So your Patreon, you've got Spotify, what's it called? Is it Spotify Premium?
I think it's just Spotify Premium.
Paid subscriptions. You've got like a paywall that's in front of the episode. So most of the bigger podcasts will release 2 episodes a week. One episode will be to the public, and if you want to get more of their content, the second one you have to pay for. And it's usually only like £5, £6, £7, £8 a month. And
I think there's different tiers, isn't
yeah,
there?
you've got different options. Now, some of these platforms do take, I think it's 20% or 18% of whatever the cut is. But here, if you can get a couple of hundred people to do that, let's say it's a fiver, 500 quid, and then 200 people, 300 people, like, you can see how this can become a very low cost barrier, because people will pay subscriptions to things, and it's just another monetization tool that you can use.
I think it's probably going to become bigger, this, because at first, when I've, like, years ago, when we've heard about Patreon coming about and stuff like that, like, I was like, who's going to pay for a podcast? Like, podcasts are free. But I think now, like, podcasts become more popular. Like you said, everyone pays for Netflix, Amazon, whatever else they pay for. Like, if you're that bought into a podcast, like, you're going to pay it. Like, there's so many people that have been in the studio who listen to podcasts through Patreon or whatever platform.
They've
like,
got it.
they're invested in it because they love the podcast. And a lot of podcasters are clever with it because they'll put out a couple of clips from it to say, like, oh, and it's juicy, like, it's good stuff, and then they'll, like, stop it and be like, do you want to listen more? And go pay. And I'm like, God damn it.
And then the other way to be clever about it is put tons of ads on your first one and say, look, you don't get ads with the second episode. And that's another way to, like, I'm this close to doing it on YouTube because I'm sick of watching YouTube ads.
What was it the other night? We were watching something and you kept going off the page and back on it to hope that ad
It was
was
a minute
away.
long.
And by the time you'd done that, the ad would have been done. It was just 60 seconds of your life. Do you not remember back in the day when you'd be watching TV?
And we were all brainwashed to My Little Pony and Barbie dolls and stuff like that.
Watched?
I just remember the ads. That's the first ad that I remember. My Little Pony. But you even remember the tunings and everything. So yeah, that's paid subscriptions. The other one is community monetization. So things like school and community memberships. This can be a way to apply a different tier. So let's say you're running a business podcast, for example, to connect other like-minded business people. You may have a small monthly fee to be in a community, and you can all brainstorm and network and all that sort of thing. Ultimately, that's what BNI is in business events and whatnot. It's just a paid community. I guess another part of this is also the donate or get people to buy you a coffee. I've seen people put that.
I
It's
don't
like
like
a link.
that. Do you like
It's like
that?
if you not well, it's like, here, look, do this completely free for you. I've got no plans to monetize this. If you want to support us, you can buy me a coffee, and if you
Have you ever done that?
I've
like,
not done it, no.
I don't mean like, have you ever asked for that? Have you ever donated?
No, but if like how I've shown, so the one that I would probably say most of my commitments went to is Mind Pump. I'd listen to them so much, and I'd hear them talk about programs, and I got to the point, it's like, well, I don't need a program, but I've got so much value from this podcast. I'm going to buy one just as a like may as well. Yeah, like they've helped me when they launched their mentorship side of things. I was like, I don't know if I really need this, but again, I felt the need. Like, I've had so much value from this podcast that I want to get it back. So if they had that and they were saying it, then I guess maybe not something you do every episode. It's just like, look, so here's an example. Let's say you want to go down to let's say you're podcasting or you've got a guest in mind that you want to get on, and to make it happen is maybe going to cost a couple of extra £100 than what it normally would. Reach that out to your audience and say, look, we're doing X, Y, and Z. If you want to see this, you want to see more behind the scenes footage, there's different ways to like spin it. It doesn't need to be a quote unquote coffee. It can just be this is a private course for you, and you can ask questions and you can do all this sort of stuff.
I think that is another good way, like, to grow your business in general, like doing the community part of it, because you're then growing the podcast, helping that monetize it by paying that, but also you're growing a different part of your business. So then if you've got new products and services coming out, you've already got an engaged audience on that community.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like the paid subscription side of things. Another one is live events and experiences. That's another way to get some sort of monetization. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a higher leverage and a higher risk, but it can equally be a good return and a good reward. Again, this is probably more so when you built your audience and you've got a bit of a pool. But it could be a live podcast, it could be a workshop, it could be a course, it could be open day on a particular thing. There's so many different ways on what you can do it for.
Sorry, yeah, I was just watching Cooper yawn there.
Yawning Coops.
But yeah, I think there is loads, and I think you see it a lot with like the more influencery side. Like they do a lot, but I think there's definitely more business ones you could do, and it could even be you do a business podcasting event where there's different podcast speakers, like to tie in more audiences. That'd be something we look at in the future, hosting. Yeah,
well, like networking events is definitely something that makes sense to do, doesn't it? Okay, not second last one. Yeah, second last one we got here is merch. This is one that's often overlooked, but like it's something I wish we'd done more of in the Mindset podcast, because we had so many like wee funny phrases that came up, like dopamine dunt. There was so much.
We spoke about doing it so many times.
I know, and we just never ended up doing it. But hooking up some sort of apparel or some sort of products or even a sticker, just to getting someone to give you a couple of quid for whatever it may be, you'll be very surprised in how supportive a couple of hundred of people may be for you. And people like wearing it as a badge of honour, because it's like if you built a cool brand or a brand that they like to associate themselves with, like people are spending crazy money on t-shirts. So like
we're going to do them for
we're going to have some Cooper
our
ones.
podcast and for the show in general, because people have come in here before and asked like, oh, do you do merch? Would like, again, it's going back to that whole thing of we'd love to support you. Like, yes, our clients who come in here pay us, but like we like to think we go above and beyond from what we say we'll do. So it's like they ask like, oh, how, like, can I buy merch? How do I support you? And it's like, hey, I've still not sorted that, but 2026 will be the year of merch.
Like you can hold that one then.
With the baby.
Sound. Last one that I've got, I'm not a big fan of this one, but it does happen. Paid for guests.
What, like where your
guests will pay to come on a podcast.
I'm not too keen on that either.
People will do it though. People will do it. And I think it's looking at your audience and looking at the leverage. If you can build up a very strong brand in the podcasting world, people will pay. And this is like people paying to become a speaker or paying to be a speaker. It's like the same play. But I don't know, like I think you have to be a pretty well-renowned podcaster to kind of get in that. But that is a way that people will monetize. I'm sure. I'm trying to think like outside the box here. Like, how would you get people to pay?
The other thing is like some people have done in our studio is they've got their guests to sponsor the episode.
Oh yeah.
So like technically, yes, the guest is paying to be on, but they're also sponsoring. So they'll say this episode is sponsored by, like, if we had asked Chris last week, can you want to sponsor and be on the episode? Like, this episode is sponsored by Storyteller Chris. I do this, I do that, that kind of thing. There's that option. So it's like that's also going back to the sponsorship category, but also they're paying to be on the podcast.
And again, that can be covering the full cost of the podcast. You can do it for more than the podcast, or you can do it for 30, 40 quid. Like, at the end of the day, they are getting a very highly edited clip of themselves or a high quality video and audio format, and it's just changing up what's going out in their feed.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, right, that's the 10. Nice. Cooper's just showing his ass to my face. Which is nice.
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, he's like, right, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Any other points to wrap up on?
No, I don't think so. I think like they're good ways to look at it. Like I said, it's the number one question we get when people come in. I think we'll do another episode on just tips to grow your podcast in 2026, given the season.
Write it down.
Yeah, me and Dale were saying this morning. We're like, we had so many topics. What were they like? Because we keep saying, oh, we'll do episodes on that, and then we forget to write it down. But next week's episode is going to be on a bit of a recap on 2025, lessons we've learned, things we want to bring into 2026. So if
More
there's
money.
that would be great. That would be great. That would be great. So if there's anything you want to hear in next week's episode on our recap, then let us know in the comments.
Cool. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
What's funny?
I
What's
don't know. I
funny?
just had the brain. I just looked up at the camera and I was like, bye.
Bye. Have a nice episode. No, have a nice, have
Bye.
a nice day.
Keep that in.